Student, let's discuss the very important topic, and it is a huge domain. So it's give you the opportunity to be, as a business analyst in the trade surveillance teams as a business analyst perspective. So I'll explain you what is a trade surveillance, what are the team involves, and how the future perspective for that team, and what are the business analyst roles and responsibilities in the trade surveillance team. So I'll explain you each thing step by step. So please stay tuned and like and subscribe my channel and do comments if you have any face challenges. So let's start with the presentation. So first one is to introduction to the trade surveillance. So I'll explain you what is a trade surveillance, and you know how to do the trade surveillance and what is the business analyst roles and responsibilities in that. The basically the trade surveillance is the process of monitoring trading activities. So whatever the trading activities will happen, to monitor that activity and to detect and prevent the market abuse and manipulation on other illicit behavior is to detect or they find the market abuse and manipulations and other illicit behavior or the unfair practices and the unfair transactions will happen in the trading activities, and it also ensure the fair and order market, protect the investor funds and market maintain the market integrity. So it makes sure that it's continuously order fair practice will happen in the trading market. A crucial function with financial institutions like the bank, broker, asset managers, or the AMCs. It is a crucial function within the financial institution for the trade surveillance. Okay, so that's this trade surveillance, and let's discuss why it is important and why it's we need the trade surveillance. So first one is a regulatory compliance. So adheres to strict global and local financial regulations and rules and regulations in the trade surveillance. It will apply that thing in the the trade finance. Okay, then risk mitigation, reduce the reduce the financial and the reputational and legal from for the it reduce the risks, and market integrity and investor protection. In market integrity, faster the trust and confidence in financial market, more the investor will come track and monitor all the trading activities to detect and prevent the market abuse. And investor protection, safeguard the investment from fraudulent activities. They identify is there any fraudulent activity and protect the investor funds from the fraudulent activities. So let's move on the next slide. Roles of the trade surveillance team. So what are the roles and why they are require the trade surveillance team? So first one, let's discuss on the key objective and then we discuss on the key function. So to for the key objective, the trade surveillance team will identify the suspicious trading platforms, for example the insider trading, market manipulations, spooning, layering, and front running. So that's will be helps to identify the patterns in that transactions, and then investigate the alert, generate a by surveillance system or add the surveillance systems, and then report the suspicious activities on regular bodies like SEBI, FCA, SAC, to report that suspicious activities to these bodies, to prepare the report documents and develop and enhance the surveillance model and rules and the business logic for the surveillance models, and maintain the reviews, audit, trial, and surveillance activities. So that's the core objective of surveillance team, trade surveillance team. Then let's discuss on the key functions of the trade surveillance team, like monitoring, alert management, investigation, reporting, and rule management are the key functions. So let's discuss the monitoring, real time and fast trade analysis of trading data. So they are monitoring and track the real time and fast trade analysis data, and they identify is there the fraudulent transactions or is there the mis practice used by the investor. And then the alert management, reviewing, scaling, and resolving the alerts is there that transactions will happen. Then they do the investigation, deep dive into the suspicious activity, gathering the evidence, and to do the freeze and debit freeze of their account, identify the suspicious activity. So that's the investigation strategy will use by the trade surveillance team. And then the reporting, internal reporting to management and external reporting to regulations. So they will do the internal reporting and external reporting. For they do the internal reporting for the management and external reporting for the regulators to report the the transactions detail. And the rule management, configuring and fine tuning surveillance rule, they implement these rules. So these are the key functions of the surveillance team. So let's move on the next slide. The key regulator drivers for the surveillance team. If you are a business analyst in a surveillance team, so you should know that global regulator and the drivers enhancement. So I'll you should take some certification or the knowledge on that file. So first one is a market abuse regulator, we also called the MAR, and it is used in the EU, UK, and it provide the insider dealing, unlawful disclosure of inside information, and the market manipulation and market unfair practices. So this has the unlawful disclosure, how the transaction will unlawful. And then the next is the MiFID second, so market in financial instrument directive second. So it is also EU and UK. It will help us to enhance the transparency and investor protections. They will do the transparency. They will track the suspicious transaction. They will use the AIML techniques and investor fund protection, including the specific requirement of trade and surveillance, how that will work, what that should happen. Then the one of the act that will be introduced by USA post 2008 financial crisis, that is the Dodd-Frank Act USA. The so the post financial crisis reform that act, and that will be including enhance the oversight of the derivative and the systematic risks that should cover in that the that frank risks and the F- FINRA rules of USA. It's also the one of the rules that introduced by USA. The specific rule for the broader broker dealer regarding the market conduct and the market analysis. And the regulatory authorities, they have some rules and regulations like SEBI in India, ASIC in Australia, or MAS in Singapore. Each jurisdiction has its own specific requirement and the specific rules and regulations. So driver to enhance the surveillance, increase the regulatory security, and hefty fines for the non-compliances. They will add some, the strict actions. They will build the more compliances and the technological advancement, enabling the sophisticated market abuse. The AIML technique to, detect or protect the fraudulent transactions and the trade in the fraudulent transactions, and the growth in electronic trading and high frequency trading, so increase in that thing. So we will need the team which do to track that thing, so that the trading and surveillance team will help to the growth of electronic and high frequency trading. So let's move on the next slide. So what are the tools and techniques in trade surveillance? So let's discuss each the tools and techniques step by step and detail. So surveillance platform, there is a specific platforms that used by as a surveillance platform. Then the data analytics tools, data sources, and emerging technologies like machine learning, artificial intelligence, and big data. So let's discuss on the surveillance platform. It is an the specialized software solution. For example, the Nasdaq Smart, Nice, Actimize, FI, Protgain, designed to invest vast amounts of trading data, apply rules, and generate the alerts. They will generate the alerts on the investment prefer. The features of that, it is an rule engine, design, dashboard, and cash management, reporting to the regulators. So that all things is there in a surveillance platform. Then the data analyst tool like the business intelligence BI tools, Tableau, Power BI, Excel, Python, or the SQL for the visualizing trade and the patterns. And then the advanced analytical platform for deeper insight into the trading behavior, how the trading will happens, the transaction patterns. So that's the data analytics tool will help us to do the identify the fraudulent transactions, and the data sources like the order and the execution data, order data, execution data, market data, scheme data, investor data, then the communication data, email, chat, voice recording, news and social media data. So that's the tool that used by the trade surveillance team in the SQL. Then the upcoming new emerging technology like artificial intelligence and machine learning for the anomaly detection, productive analytics, and the reducing the false positive rate. The increase the positive rate. True positive rates, the big data technology to handle the massive volumes, velocity, and variety of trading data. So that's the tools and use technology in the surveillance, trade surveillance. Let's move on the next slide. It is the most important, the role of business in analyst in trade surveillance. You should understand the roles and responsibilities of business analyst if you are the part of trade surveillance team. So there are the six pages like a requirement gathering and requirement analysis, then process analysis and optimization, system implementation, enhancement, support, data analysis and reporting, stakeholder management and communication, and the testing and validation. Let's discuss each one by one. So first one is a requirement gathering and analysis. So understanding the business need. So business analysts will use the requirement elicitation technique for the compliance officer, trader, risk manager, subject matter expert, development team to gather the requirement, to analyze the requirement, to prepare the business requirement document, functional requirement document, change request document, or the wireframes or prototype ERD diagram or the UML diagrams to explain this to the stakeholder, and the regulatory interpolation, translating complex regulatory text into the actionable business requirement for the surveillance, or the regulatory requirements or the regulatory business requirement to transfer into the functional or non-functional requirement. And BA will do the gap analysis to identify the discrepancy between the current capability and the regulatory expectations, how the regulatory will work. And then the process analysis optimization, so current state assessment, the documenting the existing surveillance workflow and the process, and then to document the to be how the surveillance process should look like, what are the stages, what are the life cycle of the surveillance process, what are the trade life cycle, and that thing it should be included in the current future state design, proposing the optimize the process and alert generation, investigation and reporting. All user roles and responsibilities should include in that thing, how the wireframes and prototype look like, how the ERD diagram will draw. So that thing in the future diagram, what are the features or the functions impacted after implementing that solutions. Then the efficiency improvement, identify the opportunities and automate the tasks to reduce the manual effort, to increase the automation things, automate the tasks. Okay, that thing is there. Then the system implementation and enhancement support, so vendor selection, configuration, customization and integration. So let's discuss on the vendor selection, assessing and evaluating and selecting the surveillance software vendor which are appropriate and which the product or the service exactly matches with the requirement or the business goal, business objective, or the in-scope functionality and out-scope functionality. So to select research vendor, we have the already the product and it is and the product based company. So the configuration and customization, working with technical team to configure surveillance rules and parameter and dashboard, whichever the the country you are billing, accordingly implement the rules regulation and your country trade life cycle, your country asset classes implement in that thing. And integration, ensuring the seamless data flow between trading system and market data feeds and the surveillance platform. So there is the OLTP database, the data warehouse, data lake should have the proper way of data flowing in the trading system, market feedback, there is no the fraudulent transactions will happen. So build a such kind of systems, and then the data analysis and reporting. So first one is a data mapping, define how the trading data maps to surveillance system and its requirement, how to do the data manipulation and the reporting requirement, the specifying the content and the format for internal and external regulation reports, how to report them, in the internal report and regulatory report, what are the frequency of reporting, what the data contain in the reporting, and then the performance metrics, defining the KPIs for surveillance and effectiveness, alert the volumes and the false positive rate. So that thing is there in the data analysis and reporting, and then the stakeholder management and communication, to use the different techniques like the RACI chart, or the impact and influence matrix, or the interest and the power matrix, to do the stakeholder analysis and to identify the key stakeholder for the project. So it is and the license and the acting the bridge between the business users, compliance front office development team, and the compliance team, and the IT teams. So license between these all teams, gather the requirement and the document training, doing the end user training, tester training, coder training, okay, the operation team training to develop and deliver the trading material and end user, and now the system processes, and then the communications in a stakeholder management, clearly articulate the project status, and with preparing the requirement traceability matrix or the test case document, and the risks and issue, all the stakeholders understand, make sure all the stakeholder on same page, they will understand entire functions or features, how the system should work. And last but not least, is the testing and validation. So to prepare the test case document, creating the detailed test cases for surveillance rules and the system functions, to create the detailed test case document in which contain the positive test cases, negative test cases, the basic flow, alternative flow, exceptional flow, all these 360-degree test cases contained in test case document, and do the throughout the testings, and do the testing in the user acceptance testing and UAT environment, facilitate the support and UAT to business users, and to ensure the solution meets their needs. And then the validating, ensure their surveillance model and rules are effective, and detecting the entity market of scenarios, and that will help to grow the businesses. Okay, and let's move on the next slide. That is the challenges and opportunity for BA in the trade surveillance teams. And so the challenges, the data volume and complexity. So in the trade surveillance teams, a number of trader will do the trading, and there are the different kind of asset classes trading, like the equity, derivative, the fixed income, the mutual funds, or the commodities. Okay, and the FX. So there are the huge the data and the complex data for managing the vast diverse data set. There is the false positive rate is high volume, and have iterative alert, and running the manual review, understand there the false positive rates and convert them the true positive rate, evaluating the regulatory, staying in the awareness and constant changing the global requirements. System integration, integrating the despite system across the firms, understanding the system requirement, understanding the system documents in the IMAX import export or the client onboarding process. Then the skill gaps, the need a business analyst to both the financial market knowledge and the technical outcome. You should understand the financial market, like the derivative product, fixed income type, derivative type, understand in detail, and how the technical will work. So that's the challenges for the business analyst. And the opportunities in that field is AIML adoption, driving and implementation for advanced analytical for better detections. Automations, identify the areas of for process automation to enhance the efficiencies. Cloud services, they are in, that that you will transact into the cloud services of the trade surveillance teams. Okay, and then the exposure of the cloud based services, surveillance platform, and scaling and cost effectiveness, proactive surveillance, moving from a reactive alert management to proactive risk identification, and then do the accordingly updation. The future trade in trade surveillance. So what are the futures trades in the trade surveillance team or their members? Increase use of AIML, real time monitoring, holistic surveillance, and the regulatory technologies, RegTech, and the cloud native solutions. So increase use of AIML. So in surveillance team, to identify the anomalies or to identify the fraudulent trader, for the fraudulent transactions. So we need to, the AIML technique to monitor all the transactions and detecting the fraudulent things. So behavior analytics, predictive modeling, reducing the false positive rates and increase the true positive things. So that's we will use a heavily in AIML techniques like supervised learning, unsupervised learning, deep learning, semi-supervised learning to do the, the regression, logistic regression, classification techniques to do the trade surveillance thing and the real time monitoring. So gather the emphasis on detecting the anomalies as they happens and the past transactions monitoring technique, holistic surveillance, integrated trade communications and internal data for more comprehensive review, understand the holistic surveillance things and regulatory technologies, which we also call the RegTech, leveraging the technology to meet the regulators requirement more effectively, cloud native solutions, adopting the scalable and flexibility. The cloud platform, there is huge use in the cloud platforms, platform as a service. So that's the importance for the trade surveillance team. So let's move on the last slide, that is a conclusion. The trade surveillance team play a vital role in managing the market integrity and ensure the regulatory compliance. Business analysts are instrumental in bridging the gap between the regulatory requirement, business need, and technical solution. And the field is a dynamic driven by the evolving regulations and technology advancement, offering the opportunity for the business analyst to go to their life and they have the dynamics field. It has a huge scope, use understanding to write to prepare the documents. So it should be better field to be a part. If you like this video, please like and subscribe my channel, so that will motivate me to create more videos. Thank you guys, thanks for attending.